through this character who doesn't really know what's going on. And to me, it's so much like Men in Black, which I love Men in Black, where it's like, oh, we got to protect the aliens and not let the humans know about them, but like it's like a weird branch of the FBI or whatnot. Yeah, I like that.
And so the partners meet, and it's like the classic, she tries to shoot him immediately because he's Bigfoot. There's a giant Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so that's a little awkward, but you could tell they're going to be great friends.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, she gets used to it, or like you were saying at the beginning, she believes in these kinds of creatures.
But we don't see that here yet because there's a backstory to come of this character, Ginger Brown. But here we get we get their next assignment. Their next assignment is the first couple pages of this, where these nature photographers go missing inside of a very scary-looking cave.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I'd say moderately scary-looking cave.
Oh yeah, it's a cave. All caves are scary. And their boss has given them the breakdown of here's your next assignment, here's your new partner, here's your next assignment, and then we look through the pages of the local yokel cop who is got the crime scene taped off, and you hear the splish splash of something gory going on. You hear the humming of something. There's bones around. This is a scary cave.
Yeah, and it even gets creepier when like this is maybe one of my favorite art pages is you see like the dead bodies, but then it zooms away and you see it's just the skin of the dead bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So somebody
that's good.
And so the camera of the hikers was picked up in the film, was developed, and one of these pictures shows a very menacing, it almost looks like an alien creature coming at this poor soul who's wandered into this cave.
Yeah.
So that's the onus to get.
That's another really well done art because it's like really black and you just see like the snarl and I like the art on this page.
Yeah, it's a cool page, and again the picture of of Proof, the look on his face is pretty good. He's a funny looking character.
Yeah, he almost reminds me of like Harry and the Hendersons might be a little too far because he's like too goofy, but like he's not like a scary type monster.
No, he looks like he'd be fun to hang out with. But I love some of the names of the Proof the Proof's boss has given him the different names of what this creature could be: a chupacabra, a goat sucker,
which is the name of the arc, right?
Yeah, and
I think it's called the goat sucker.
My favorite is the Mocha Vampire.
That's a pretty good one. I like that.
Or also known as the Mexican Bigfoot. And so
yeah, and then he's like, "Wait, I'm Bigfoot." Yeah, I think one of the strongest things about this comic is like the way that it informs the back. Like it gives you a lot of really good background information without being like invasive or like taking a lot of distraction away from what's going on. I think this like that kind of thing where it's like, okay, we're dealing with the chupacabra, goat sucker, Mocha Vampire, Mexican Bigfoot, and that's all that's important information, but it's not like distracting or like the plot keeps going.
The plot keeps going, and it's fun, and we get more cryptoids. There's again another local cop who says he's just going to watch the cave and make sure nobody goes in and messes up the crime scene. When he hears some rustling in the bushes, and out comes this very shaken up woman.
Yeah,
who
the girl who was taking the photographs.
who we saw in the first panel, only now she's in her bra and underwear, and she is very scratched up and very shaken up, and that is just like, that panel is like, wow. Like this art, this art here looks, well. This art here is great. But then we see, and then
her dialogue, Larry.
Her dialogue, you could see that she's got the same shaky voice of the humming creature that we met earlier. Well, we saw him off panel, but the writing is the lettering is done in that same shaky style. So that and gives you a little.
I think that's a really effective way to like kind of subtly give you a clue, and even just like what the words she says are like, "Help me, so cold." Like it's almost like it's either like she's traumatized, or it's like this is a creature who doesn't know English that well,
right? Or and then this is where they beat it over your head. There's a cryptoid that tells us all about taxidermy.
Yeah,
the Latin root being, and so then from there we get a very, very, very close up of her right butt cheek, and we see that she has got, like, her skin has been stitched into what we assume underneath is the chupacabra. Right?
Oh. Yep. And so this is Men in Black again. Because remember in Men in Black when it's like the fly creature and he takes over the body and he's like, it doesn't quite fit right and he's like using weird words and then all of a sudden he drinks like a whole gallon of lemonade or something like that.
That's the farmer guy. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. And so I mean, I love that kind of thing where, anyway, Men in Black. If you love Men in Black, this is the comic for you.
Yeah, great comparisons. Yeah, I didn't see it immediately, but boy, you're like, yeah, it's totally Men in Black. So then we meet this awesome, really badass cop.
Yeah, it's like a flashback to the New York Diamond District,
where there's a heist happening, and there's a giant person in the middle of this heist who smacks our hero out completely.
Yeah, so that he can take care of the real bad guys.
That's exactly how you read it. Yes. So she ends up being the hero, but he takes out the bad guys.
Yeah, and he's a good-looking monster, and he's got like a weird tattoo on his head, and he's like pale and giant. And the cryptoid thing, or like the narrator thing, does a good job of, it says like, long ago a golem was formed by the clay and given life by the holiest of rabbis to defend the ghetto of Joseph in Prague. And it gives like a great backstory while the action is still happening. Because I've never heard of this character before.
Yeah, I've never either. But now that I'm reading it, I'm bad at comics sometimes because in my mind I thought he shrunk back down to be one of the robbers, but he is not one of the robbers. He is actually, he's actually stopping this, and he saves her life.
Yeah, and then she gets the credit because nobody wants to say, oh, there's this monster, or nobody believes it. And so, kind of going back to the art, like we keep praising like the creepiness of the art, but like the action is a little bit more difficult to interpret.
Right. I did not get this right off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a second reading too to understand what happened there.
So, just like James says, he didn't say this, but she is a cop. She puts this all into her report, and nobody wants to file the report. They want her to vacillate on it because she's crazy. You didn't see a giant man save your life. Take the credit.
His eyes blinked sideways. He had two sets of eyelids.
He's a cool dude. But so she does her research. She dives into this case deep, and she's found a picture of this guy.
Yeah, she had to go into the library and dig deep, or investigate the dead bodies, and she's not putting it away. She believes what she saw. She trusts her eyes.
And then some mysterious man says, "Good for you. I've got a job for you," and he is higher up than her boss, and sends her to Washington, D.C.
No, that's one of my favorite, because we live in Washington, and everybody says that.
No, she is sent to the far, far reaches of Washington State.
And she doesn't know what she's going for. She just knows that she got sent away.
And so there she is. Now it's Thursday. She's on her way to a meeting at the lodge, something called the lodge. And she is having a conversation that doesn't sound like a pleasant conversation with her boyfriend, we assume.
Yeah, that's what I assumed too.
And, she can't give him straight answers, and
yeah, she doesn't know him.
And he doesn't seem to be that upset.
Yeah.
So,
whatever.
All right,
you're the FBI life, and this is what happens.
I'll see you when you get home. Maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully.
And then we go to the lodge, and this is the scene that we see before, where but there's a little side note where she's asked to give her bullets to the guy or her new CO, and she does it. Thankfully, otherwise, proof would be dead.
Yes, she would have shot him. And it even said, this might have been a little bit too much, because I think people could have figured out that it's a flash forward. But it does say, Ginger's first day on her new job continued on page 10. Flip back a few pages.
Yeah. They're spoon feeding it.
It's nice. Yeah. But, they do it subtly first, and then they, it's not like they're throwing it out on the first pitch.
Right.
There's little subtle things. So, yeah.
Pretty solid first issue, right?
Pretty solid first issue.
Now, James, we've seen Riley Rossmo's art before. Do you like this better, worse? What was your take from this from Green Wake?
To be honest, I liked Green Wake better, because I think it was more it really committed to the art style, and maybe because there wasn't the type of action that was necessary in this one. I think the creepiness is still there, and you can definitely tell it's the same style, but that the action is just a little bit more difficult to follow, even if it is pretty solid with the facial expressions or with the creepiness. It's definitely not as creepy as Green Wake.
No, but I kind of after this is the second time I've read this. I didn't have problems with it, but I did find that the subject matter wasn't committing one way or the other. Last week I said this was a horror book, and that scene where the woman is, trussed up inside of, or the chupacabra is inside of the woman's shell, that's horror. And and the silly, and I just thought it's not a horror book, but it has horror elements, and when I see scary like that, I want more scary.
I want it to be scary, yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Chew, but Chew was a lot more funny, even though it had the stuff of him he had to eat human bodies and stuff like that.
Right. So and it was graphic and gory, but the art style lent itself to almost an animated cartoony style. This here, the scary is scary. And the cartoony style is
not as cartoony.
So,
I agree. It's you want to commit one way or the other. But I thought the funny was funny and the scary was scary, but maybe not as much in the art as in the plot.
Right. I did like this, and if you want to have, this went for 28 issues.
Oh, okay.
So
That's like my favorite length.
So it's